Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Deacon Matt Porter. I'm one of the deacons here in the Hingham Catholic Collaborative. And I'm sitting here in Reed Hall at Resurrection Church in front of a beautiful picture of the Sacred Heart of Jesus. And this is the reflection that I prepared for Palm Sunday on God's unfailing love for all of us, no matter who we are, where we've been, how long we've been away from Him, or what we think we may have done or not done. He always loves us. He's always faithful. You know, there's an old saying here in New England that if you don't like the weather, just wait a minute. And I think that's why we all like talking about the weather, because it's always changing. One minute it's sunny, then it's cloudy and rainy. The next minute the sun's back out again. It's always changing, so it's always a great source of conversation. But you know, I think our emotional lives are like that as well. One moment we're happy, then we get angry or sad, and then we're in a good mood again. We kind of live by our emotions. And it's okay, it's normal. I think it's just part of being a human being. But I also think our faith life can be like that. One moment we feel close to God, we have a deep experience of His presence. But other times, we kind of move far away from God. We don't feel that closeness anymore. Maybe we're not praying or going to church. Maybe we're just not in tune with the love that God has for us. Maybe we blame Him for something that's gone wrong in our lives, or we resent Him in some way for something. So like our emotional life, our spiritual life can also be fickle and changeable. And that's okay. And we see that so clearly in the Passion narrative for today's Palm Sunday readings. They're found at Matthew chapters 26 and 27, and I've included a link below. When Jesus enters the city of Jerusalem, the crowd greets Him with great cheers and shouts of praise. But just a few days later, that same crowd is condemning Jesus. Crucify him, they say. It's a remarkable about face. And then look at the apostles. On Holy Thursday, they're gathered with Jesus for a meal with their good friend. But just a few hours later, they abandon Him. And Peter even denies ever even knowing Him. But the good news for them is that all of the apostles and many of the folks in the crowd sort of repent later after the resurrection and return to Jesus. And far from condemning Him, He welcomes them back with open arms. Because there's one figure in this story who never changes: Jesus. No matter what is happening, whether they're praising Him or cursing Him, He always remains faithful. He doesn't love the people just when they love Him, and He doesn't condemn them when they persecute Him, even when they persecute Him to the point of betrayal and turning Him over for torture and execution. In fact, He actually prays for them, even from the cross. Jesus prays, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." It's an amazing expression of love and grace and mercy, and it's almost beyond our capacity to understand. It is divine mercy, nothing less. And it's also the source of our greatest hope. No matter where we are in our walk of faith, Jesus is always with us. No matter where we are, what we think we've done, how long we've been away, it doesn't matter. Jesus is always waiting for us to turn back to Him, so He can shower us with His love and His grace and His mercy. Even when we aren't faithful, God is always faithful, and His love is never changing. It's a rock. It's an anchor. You know, in normal years, Easter is a time of homecoming. We all love to gather with our family and friends, and so many of us come to church, some maybe for one of the only times during the year. And sadly this year, because we're dealing with this terrible coronavirus pandemic, we can't do that. We can't gather physically. We can't have those homecomings. But even if we can't be physically present, we can still return to the Lord spiritually and come home this Holy Week as we prepare for Easter. So I would just encourage all of you, wherever you are, wherever you've been, whatever you think you've done, know that you are never far from the love of God, and you are never alone. Just like the merciful Father in the story of the prodigal son, all the Lord wants you to do is come home so he can embrace you with his love, both now and for all eternity. I pray that God would bless each and every one of you and your families, would keep you safe, and draw you close to his sacred heart, both now and forevermore. Amen.